Let's look at level 3.3 notes, the practice proofs with statements or reasons. And in fact, we have statements on all of these today. But as we look at problem number 1, given the measure of angle 1 equals the measure of angle 3, we need to prove that the measure of angle EFH equals the measure of angle IFG. So the first part here is that the measure of angle 1 equals measure of angle 3. That is given. So our next statement here is that the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 is equal to the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3. And what we can say here is we added angle 1 and 2 together. We added angle 2 and 3 together. That is the addition property of equality. And now what we can say for statement 3, the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 equals the measure of angle EFH, and then the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 is equal to the measure of, or equal to the angle IFG, and again that is the angle addition postulate. Don't forget to check back on pages 13 and 14. So then, since the measure of angle 1 and the measure of angle 2 equals angle EFH, and the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 equals angle IFG, we can substitute, instead of writing the angle numbers, we can write the actual angles, and what we end up is we're substituting. And let me try to say that a little bit better after I write down the substitution word here, is that instead of writing the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2, we replaced it with the measure of angle EFH. And instead of writing the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3, we replaced that with the measure of angle IFG, which is what we are trying to prove. Let's look at proof number 2. We are given the measure of angle PQR equals 130 degrees, and the measure of angle PQX equals 5x, and the measure of SQR equals 30, and we want to prove that x equals 20. And the nice thing is we can start once again with the given. And as we think about this in terms of the OSTs, at least try to fill in what you can. Even if you can't fill in everything, at least try to fill in what you can. So our first statement now, statement number 2 actually, is the measure of angle PQR equals the measure of angle PQS plus the measure of angle SQR. And what we can say, again, is that that is the angle addition postulate. Statement 3, 130 equals 5x plus 30. Well, remember here is instead of writing angle PQR, we instead replaced angle PQR with what we were given over here, which is that PQR is 130 degrees, and that is the substitution property. And then on step 4 here, what happens is, interesting way to write it, but in order to get this next step, what we're doing is we subtracted 30, I write that very lightly, subtracted 30 on both sides, and in this particular proof, they showed that step, which is the subtraction property of equality, way back from our very, very first unit. Running out of space here, but I think I can fit it in. So now what happens here is that 130 minus 30 is 100, and then positive 30 and negative 30 is 0. So what we did is we simplified. Earlier we did combine like terms, but we simplified. We didn't show this particular step, step 4, in our first unit. But now what's happening, again, they showed the work. We're trying to get to x equals 20. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to undo this multiplication by dividing both sides by 5. So since we divided both sides, that is the division property of equality. And then finally here, when we simplify it again, what happens is we get x equals 20, but if you notice over here, when we simplified this, this would have been 20 equals x, and we like to have the letter on the left, as I like to say. So the way that we can change that around is the symmetric property.